Start your morning with optimism, believing your possibilities. Thank you for choosing Fantastic Radio UK. Your music, your possibilities.
London is the place for me. London, this lovely city. You can go to France or America, India, Asia or Australia, but you must come back to London City.
It's morning, and the day is filled with endless possibilities. We're so glad to have you listening. Have a fantastic morning. Fantastic Radio UK, home of the Afropolitan.
You are indeed welcome to the home of the Afropolitan, the home of possibilities, the home of fantastic mornings with Simone and Kojo, Bonti, Amwaku. Good morning to you, Simone.
Good morning, good morning. Yeah, well excited about today.
We are exceedingly excited. I'll
show you a bit constraint, but you, yeah, I know you just like to jump around, so yeah, you do your thing.
Okay, I'm not going to jump around.
No. Everyone expresses their excitement in different ways, so you do your thing.
We express our excitement differently. We express and display our joy differently. And I wake up in the morning excited, hopeful, confident, optimistic, knowing that the day has been given and I would have to take advantage of it. That is why I come to the table with such gusto and vim and drive, because I know that I have been given this day to be grateful and thankful. So I'm exceedingly and I'm wonderfully excited to be with you this morning. How are you? And it's Friday the 18th.
I know, it's just flying by. Yeah, Friday the 18th already. Yeah. We're doing
Friday.
Good.
But how are you? How has been your week? And how is everything with you, Simone?
It's lovely. It's been great. You know, the weather was brilliant. I know we've got rain at the moment, but I think it's probably needed to sort of clear it a little bit, you know, get rid of that mugginess. But no complaints here. All good.
Today, we have a particular theme for this breakfast morning, for this fantastic morning. Talk to me about that and tell me what is today all about and what we are doing for the next 1 hour.
Okay, well, this year is the 4th anniversary of the Windrush Day, and that will take place on Tuesday, the 22nd of June. Yes, but there's a weekend and a week ahead of events that's taking place. So we thought, we'll try and sort of preempt and get our foot in and plans in advance, really, rather than tell you about after the event. We want to tell you before the event, so you can actually plan your diaries accordingly and know what's happening around this actual momentous occasion. So yeah, we thought we'd actually make this a main feature and dedicate the whole show to Windrush and that story.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. The first tune you heard came from Lord Kitchener, right? Now, over the night, I was reading about Lord Kitchener. And Simone, I never ever knew the song Birth of Ghana as a song was written and sung by Lord Kitchener.
I have to find that one.
I beg your pardon?
I've not heard of that myself.
Yes.
Wow.
Because I grew up hearing that song. I grew up hearing that song, The Birth of Ghana. And this song goes about how Nkrumah is become the president of Ghana and his team.
Amazing.
It goes Ghana, Ghana, da da da, Ghana. It's sort of a calypso song, right?
Yes.
I grew up thinking it was written by a Ghanaian musician. It was originally written by Lord Kitchener.
Wow.
I didn't know that. Because I was reading about it. I was just reading about it. And I was thinking, hold on a minute. Lord Kitchener. But it took me to some of the songs that he wrote, and he wrote about Ghana. And in 1957, when Ghana had its independence from Great Britain, or Ghana walked away from Great Britain, and Lord Kitchener wrote the song, and it's been played in Ghana over and over and over. And growing up, I heard that song over and over. In fact, my grandfather, who I'll tell you much about with him and the British military and all that, my grandfather used to play that song.
How lovely.
I never knew that Lord Kitchener did that song. And you might wonder who Lord Kitchener is. Lord Kitchener became a well-known calypso king after singing his now famous hit, London is a Place to Be. And that's what we just heard, to the award to waiting press as he disembarked from the HMT Empire Windrush ship. Kitchener, real name is Edwin Roberts, became an icon to those first 5,000 Caribbean migrants who came into the United Kingdom. Now, we need to also establish something which I'm going to say. The Caribbeans did not come to this place just by themselves. They were invited to come to Great Britain after the war. Okay, so the government at the time invited the Caribbeans to come in and help build this country. Clearly,
so the UK government recruited from the Caribbean,
of course,
and brought people over to help rebuild the UK. This is post-war. Of course, there's derelict buildings, rubble, everything else. There's no infrastructure at that stage, because everything's bombed. So they needed to get, the UK rebuilt and rebuild the infrastructure. And they needed hands on deck, and there weren't enough people to do that here or take those jobs. So they brought people over from the Caribbean. Is that correct? You are absolutely correct. And they came through to contribute their quota to the rebuilding of this place. And it is something that I feel the emphasis needs to be placed on. For the contribution through the National Health Service. There's a video I was watching throughout the night, and it had to do with how the National Health Service had a chunk of West Indian, Caribbean women working in the nurses. In fact, not just the nurses, but they work in all spheres of the National Health Service, and the contribution that they played into that. And I really, really, really want us to really sink that one in. I would love us at some point, as we carry on, go into the military and how the British, how the Africans also came through to contribute to the military. Absolutely. How they also joined them into the military. I'll tell you a story that I am directly linked to as we proceed. But my grandfather also played a part with the British going into Burma, and I have something from him today that I will display as we go along. Very nice. We're going to say something, please. No, just saying, very nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to as this whole thing unpacks, in the show today. So great. Yes, I'm really looking forward to it again. Also, you can see on the screen we have a domain name displayed called u.38degrees.org.uk. I would go into that as we go along, but it's I will tell you more about it. Patrick Vernon is campaigning and supporting people
for some form of compensation, which is being sent currently to Ms. Patel and Mr. Boris Johnson. And when you go on the website, you just search Windrush compensation, and you would be able to add your code to it. Currently, it's standing at 93,604. 93,604, and they're looking at 100,000 signatures. So if you've never been on this page, I was on this page this morning, and it got 93,604 people. So
and there is a deadline, isn't there? There's a deadline for closure of this petition.
Absolutely.
So it's very important that we act and just add our names. It's not a huge effort, but I think it's something that counts. So we put our names as a signature to this petition as soon as you can. We've all got the benefit of having a phone, hopefully, or access to some kind of technology, whether it's your laptop or your tablet or etc. Just log on, please, to that site and search. I think it's the main page is called Fix the Windrush Compensation Scheme. Or if you just type in Windrush compensation, there's possibly about 6 different petitions. The main one you want, the current one you want, is the one by Patrick Vernon, OBE. And if you can actually find the one that says Fix the Windrush Compensation Scheme, and add your details to that, your details is just your name, your postcode, and send. It really is that simple. So we just need everyone to take part and do their part, really, to support this campaign of getting a redress for those people that have not been compensated. We'll go into more details as to the reason for the petition, but I think many of us are very much aware that there are people that have not been treated well post Windrush. The Windrush generation, there's a huge story around that. So as much as we want to celebrate today, there are some stories that we need to actually bring to people's attention are very important, and we want a better outcome, basically. So that's the reason for the petition, but we'll go into more detail soon.
Before we go get music, I really wanted to take a moment for the next 2 minutes to really get into the psyche of our fathers, our grandfathers, our grandmothers who came through when the invitation was thrown at them and they were invited, and the joy of they wanting to come through, and they coming through on the ship, coming through Waterloo, Tilbury, and on their way. At some point, one of these days, if your grandfather or your auntie or your cousin's mother or somebody in your network was part or has passed away, but told you stories of how they came, how they packed with their leather bags, with their dresses, how they prepared in coming through into the UK. I would love, or myself and Simone would love to get to know you, and would want to take at least an hour or two and reminisce and go over the time how they left the Caribbean and coming into England. I would love to talk to that advanced age person. Did I say old? I nearly said old. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I'd love to speak to that matured Caribbean man, Caribbean woman. It could be your uncle, it could be your auntie who came through at the time and currently is still alive and wants to talk and share the story. We would love to do a feature or a documentary of these wonderful people and just spend the next, say, 2 hours with us. We have separate people. We'll get the cameras right to you and we'll love to talk to you. And you telling us how you left, the hopes and dreams, and how you came to this country with such optimism. And when you arrived, how you were received. Some were received very well. Some were received very well, but some weren't received very, very well. And after they had contributed and they had stood and fought and added their quota to the place, the reception wasn't very kind. And I would love to hear that. We would love to hear that. And also those who came and contributed. How was it working with the National Health Service? How was it working with the underground? What was it like? But I would love to find out on the ship. What were you doing? Were you fantasizing? Were you reading? Were you rehearsing what you were going to say? I mean, how did you come? And what was? I tell you a funny, interesting story. Before we go into the music, 15 past. I have a lot of stories around this.
I know, we know you have stories, but yeah, they're all very fascinating. So let's hear it.
Yes, I remember I was talking to an older lady who I had a chance to speak with. I went to visit her at the home, and we were talking. And she said to me, in 1953, when I was coming into England, this lady came from...
I'm pretty sure that's the year my mum came over.
Okay.
My mum was about in her early 20s, I think, 22, 23. Yeah.
Right. She came in her 20s.
Yeah. Well,
right,
a very early age. Yeah, she came over.
So when I went to visit this lady at the old people's home, we were just talking, and she said, when we came or on our way here, this is what we're doing. But she said something. We came on the ship. Now and it took us almost about 2 weeks to get here. And I felt, what do you mean? She said it took us a long time to get to England. And for me, what it did to my psychology was people came and it took them a long time to even get here. And I was wondering what was going through your mind to leave the place of your birth, right? To go to another location, and all you had been promised or all you had been given was a word, a person giving you their word saying that come over and contribute to us. And you going in there knowing nobody, and you coming in and willingly, effortlessly contributing your quota to the country. Me, I find it very fascinating. I find it very adventurous. I find it very, 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 very adventurous. And I would want to pause to say, thank you. Thank you for all the people that came from the Caribbean. Thank you for all of the people who came from all the other parts of the world and came and contributed immensely to this country after the war and has continued to add their quota to this place. I would love at some point one day get in touch with an older person who came from the Caribbean and how they came and what was going through their minds on their way into Great Britain. That is enough of me. Do you have anything to say before we go for music, Simone?
No, I'm just thinking, I mean, of course, like you said, you want to get into the psyche of the people that were coming over, and, we can only sort of guesstimate some of what took place. So, of course, we need to remember that parts of the Caribbean were colonized by the British Empire. And, of course, the school curriculum from day dot, pretty much, they're told about the mother country. The mother country was referred to as the UK. So their allegiance, their commitment, their loyalty was already ingrained in them from growing up. So as they became young adults, and there's a recruiter coming from the UK saying, come over and support your mother country, that's what a lot of them acted upon. Yes, there's promise of a new life over here, but the first thing was to serve the mother country, which is the UK. Yes. And that's pretty much because, that was a psyche, pretty much, was coming and helping, because they expected to be welcomed. They've been told about it throughout the whole education and their growing life about the UK and the mother country and the Queen and et cetera, et cetera. And they felt they were welcomed. They're being invited after all, so they came. And they came in droves, because, again, the invitation was open to many peoples in the Caribbean to come and help. And they responded to that request for help from the UK.
And they didn't just come; some came with their children. Some came with their children, and for me, some came with their children. They trusted the place that much to trust the place with their children. Some of them are as young as 2. Some of them as young months. And they came with them, trusting and hoping they were going to add. And they came also indeed and added. And for them to have had that response, after all these years, I would have to say it is shameful. And if we go to this website, u.38degrees.org.uk, and you type in Windrush, you would see every information in there, and you would be able to add your signature to it. Currently standing at 93,604. Please, let's go on there and add our voice. Mr. Hamidi, let's go get music. Soon as we come back, I'll tell you what my grandfather told me when he went to war in Burma, and I have something to show you what my grandfather also had as we get on with the show. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's of a different bent today, so let's go get music, some calypso. Soon as we come back, we'll carry on our conversation. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Simone and Kojo on Fantastic Mornings, 7 to 8 a.m. Join the conversation at On Air at fantasticradio.co.uk.
Line ho, uyu line lelo mwana mene, mwana wanzeru. Line ho,
line ho, uyu line lelo mwana mene, mwana wanzeru. Ukacha mama wa amatenga taje, kuseza bakomo.
Some funny things has happened. If you study it, friend, you cry. And believe if you tell somebody, they'll watch you and laugh and say that you lie. I was friending with a woman. She was working in a little store. She came home and said she leave the work. I asked her what she leave it for. She said the first week she worked.
We used to stay side by side. We used to stay without divide. Who would have thought we'd end up on our knees? Let's get back to where we used to be. We used to love with open arms, without question, without alarm. Now someone's locked the door, threw away the key. Let's get back to where we used.
Testing is free, quick, and vital to stop the spread of coronavirus. So let's get tested and get back to the things we love.
We used to be.
Simone and Kojo on Fantastic Mornings, 7 to 8 a.m. Join the conversation at On Air at fantasticradio.co.uk.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. 23 minutes past 7 on Fantastic Radio. 23 minutes past 7, having conversations about the Windrush generation and everything to do with it. Simone, I'll tell you, interesting thing. I have something to talk to you about.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Today,
What's that in your hand?
Sorry?
What's that in your hand?
What's in my hand was my grandfather's beret that he had, that he went to war with. This is it.
Oh,
right?
wow. This is part of his uniform.
This is part of his uniform. Unfortunately, I couldn't have all of it. I had gone to Ghana to visit and went through some of his stuff. I'd picked up some of his stuff and got to have his beret. My grandfather was part of some of the African infantry that left Ghana in 1950, before 57. They had come into Burma. The British had recruited them to go into Burma to fight when the war was on. So my grandfather came through with the Ghanaian army, the infantry from Ghana that joined the British army to go into Burma to fight and join most of the African soldiers that had joined the British army in fighting. He came back, some couldn't come through, some lost their lives in the process, but he came through. He was with us, and he passed away many years ago. But I also wanted to tip my hat off to the African soldiers who also fought with the British in going to the war, and also really want to commend them. There's a Black Poppy thing campaign which has run through, and we would want to also highlight on it. It's really something that I would love us to talk about. There's music that came through, the calypso music. But before you want to say something?
No, I'm listening. Yeah. So the music, the calypso music, which of course, is part of the theme or the music that was coming through at that era. So calypso, and then it evolved into ska and many more genres. But calypso was the main kind of flavor of music at the time, wasn't it? So tell me a bit more about that.
The calypso music really came through as part of the Caribbean music, which they tell. It's amazing. It's storytelling, right? It's storytelling which comes through the way the Caribbeans display their artistry, their music, and their culture, which is very expressive, which is very, very vibrant. It comes with all sorts of stories as to the fun, the excitement, and everything to do with the Caribbean culture. I would want to come back to it at some point and get into it and all the other things that comes with it. It's 26 minutes past 7. And you're still on Fantastic Radio, doing fantastic conversation. Myself, Kojo, Bonti, Amwako, and Simone and Kojo having this brilliant, wonderful conversation and sharing stories about the Windrush generation and everything to do with it. Our main emphasis and focus is on about the compensation, the Windrush compensation, which you can go on and contribute your signature and your contribution to it. It's u.38degrees.org.uk, and you able to add your 2 cents to it. Mr. Uncle, you got something for us as we go round the music and come back again?
Oh gosh, so much. I'm trying to keep track because my mind's just full with so much information to explain to everyone. We can go into a bit more about the compensation scheme, just to explain it to everyone. Yeah, are you happy with that, or should we go to do that afterwards?
Let's do that afterwards.
Let's do the music bit.
Let's go get music, and we will come back and we will get with it as soon as possible.
We should. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Simone and Kojo on Fantastic Mornings, 7 to 8 a.m. Join the conversation at fantasticradio.co.uk.
Ode to Boobs by Pip Bishop. Dear Boobs, this heartfelt apology goes out to you all for moaning you're too big or moaning you're too small, for wishing you didn't hang like puppies in sacks or just disappear when we lie on our backs, for squashing you flat with a minimising cup or those torture bras that push you right up. Why is it always your bad points we mention? Like your inverted nips or your water retention? Why don't we love you as much as our men, or the babies that love you all over again? Maybe we're scared to show you we care, in case one day you're simply not there. Make it up to your boobs with some breakthrough breast cancer TLC. Touch, look and check. To find out more during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, visit breakthrough.org.uk.
Oh, we're back.
For some reason, my system was just messing about.
No problem. We have you now, so that's the main thing.
I can hear you.
Yeah, you can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Ah, right. I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Good.
I can precisely hear you.
Good.
I can precisely hear you. You know, this whole Windrush thing, what it does allows me to realize that as human beings, we are bound to have a slant of ourselves that is very not very kind. Whilst I was reading some of the tidbits of Dr. Olusoga's book, it's about Windrush, and reading tidbits about it, a lot of them came through with a lot of conviction, which we've earlier said. And the conviction they came through with, it wasn't what was very much to do with how this country would return to its original state. Because prior to the war, there were other things that, there were beautiful things and beautiful sites that this country had built immensely. And Winston Churchill and co had also contributed immensely to preparing the mindset of the people of this country. Now, the war had damaged a lot of places, a lot of scenery, and they needed a lot of they needed manpower to really sustain this country. And the contribution of the Caribbeans cannot be underestimated. It just cannot be underestimated.
Absolutely.
It can't be underestimated. And I feel that the more the stories are told, the consistency and the reminding of the next generation would play a major role in reinforcing the contribution, and people not also taking advantage or forgetting that there is a role that this Britain has to also play in the well-being of the people who also came to add to this. And not just them, but the people or the children and the grandchildren of the people that came to contribute to this. Yep.
Absolutely. You're totally right there. There was a responsibility. Again, the invitation was put out, people responded, they uprooted their livelihoods, their families. Some families were left behind and some were eventually brought back over when they could afford to sustain the family. So, individuals came, but they're also part of an extended family. It might have been husbands, wives, they may have been parents. And with that, they couldn't all come at once sometimes, they couldn't afford to. Some of this repatriation or coming into the UK was out of their own pockets sometimes, so they couldn't afford much. They came over with the pittance sometimes of what they had, and he started off from that ground, and they were hopefully entering into jobs. They were told to get employment. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they struggled. Sometimes they couldn't even get homes or a roof over their heads. And there's those kind of struggles and those kind of rejections that took place over here. And the funny thing is, this wasn't the first invitation. As we're speaking about your grandfather, and I know you're going to speak a bit more about that, but we're going to go back into a little bit further beyond that, was the First World War and two World Wars, where the Caribbeans and Africans were asked to come and fight in front line with British soldiers to help, in that war effort. So this was not the first Invitation. The first invitation is, I think, that's probably a bit more open and receptive to having people from the Caribbean and Africa join them. But once that was over, it all went cold for a lot of people's experiences. And we can go on, but really the reason we're going on, we're highlighting the website u.38degrees.org.uk is to get people to rally behind and add their names to the petition, which is pretty much actually a campaign to redress the problems, what we're facing right now today, of the Windrush generations that didn't come over with the adequate, or no longer has the adequate paperwork to prove their citizenship here. And the Home Office and alike are sending them back to places they're not even familiar with. Sometimes they've never even visited some of their Caribbean, their heritage, and not actually been there before, and have been sent there and said, no, you're no longer a citizen here. You don't, we have no proof that you really exist. That is just terrible. That should never be happening. And again, we have to emphasize that we're invited to come here in the first place. So some of these are people that came and responded to that invitation from way back. Some of them are the descendants and children, also that don't have the adequate paperwork or have had it and it's got lost somewhere in somebody's, it's a complete mess. It's been acknowledged a few years ago, but there's very little redress in terms of compensation. People have been sent back and have died out there because they've had nothing to sustain themselves. So there's been incredible injustice so far, and it's still ongoing. There's still this fight to get this properly addressed, and the reason for petition is just one of those things, but there's so much more we should be doing. But the petition is very important. It very is. Yes, I think we need to just really make sure that we log on and look up. Sorry, let me get the correct title. Fix the Windrush Compensation Scheme. Yes. For those that have applied for it, for those that have applied for it so far, we're hearing that it's a very slow process. So even those that have applied for it and put their applications in from over a year ago are still waiting for the compensation. So you're needing to receive that. And there's more people that are entitled to the compensation, possibly not aware that there is a such a scheme. But we do need to actually try and hopefully assist people where we can that are in this situation.
Simone, it's 37 minutes past 7, still on Fantastic Mornings. My name is Kojo Bonti Amwaku, Simone Uncle on your radio. We're going to go get music, get some few commercials come through, and we'll have to go into it and give you all the other things that we have prepared for you today. Okay, so give us the next few minutes as we go get music, get some few things coming through, and we will come back to you very, very soon, sharing with you the Black Poppy and the Windrush Day, which is coming on the 22nd, and many, many more stories that we want to share with you. It's still Kojo Bonti on your radio, on Fantastic Radio, the home of the Afropolitan. Let's go get music. We'll be coming back right now.
Simone and Kojo on Fantastic Mornings, 7 to 8 a.m. Join the conversation at fantasticradio.co.uk.
I want to run to you, just want to be with you. Run away, baby.
Come in.
Right.
Mr. Pilkington, and how are we today?
Yeah, I'm all right, Doctor. Yeah, I've just come for my checkup.
Okay, then pop your pants off.
What?
Just pop your pants off.
Well, I've got to take my pants off.
Well, because I have to pop my finger up your to check your prostate gland.
Don't worry about it.
Well, I am worried about it because prostate cancer kills 10,000 men every year in Britain.
Well, you can check that out if I get any symptoms.
Well, there aren't always symptoms, and symptoms do vary from man to man. So the best way to check it out is I just pop my finger up there.
I'm really not
and have a
happy with
feel.
this. Just
don't worry about it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
No.
I don't know why he was worried. You probably saved his life there.
Does he have to be here?
He's just a mate. Don't worry about him. He's just watching me at work.
For more information, visit the Prostate Cancer Charity website. Real men know all about it.
I'm a god stalker. I love my life. 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 No, no, we don't know where tomorrow might bring, cause the future, the hours away. So me, I live my life today. Me, I live my life today. Yeah, so love me, make me talk, what I want to talk, me have enough to say. So me, I live my
life. Side by side, we used to stay without the vibe. Who would have thought we'd end up on our knees? Let's get back to where we used to be. We used to love with open arms, without question, without a law. Now someone's locked the door, threw away the key. Let's get back to where we used.
Testing is free, quick, and vital to stop the spread of coronavirus. So let's get tested and get back to the things we love.
We used to be.
Me like you're going crazy. Let go me hand, let me jump up in the band. I don't want nobody to come and stop me. Leave me, let me free up. Mommy,
For a cheap and cost-effective driveway, choose Northern Resin Driveways. We use the same high-quality products as those other costly companies, but because we're a small company, we don't have sky-high overheads, passing on our savings direct to you. With years of experience, no gimmicks, no pushy sales tactics, highest quality materials, and an insurance-backed 10-year guarantee, grab your free quote today at northernresindriveways.co.uk.
Driven to be the best.
The men in the tongue, I said the blooming ice is too long. The men in the tongue, I said the blooming ice is too long. You cook the food, you wash the clothes. When they want, they just give you blows. Well, that's what you do, so let me tell you what is my due. You better love. Bothering me day and night. It talk about nation and black and white. This thing is bothering me day and night. It talk about nation and black and white. And nobody can say for true who the hell descended from who. But let me make you to understand, two nations in the world is woman and man.
Human race, face to face, all together in one space. Human race, place to place, one nation, million days. Human race, face to face, all together.
Simone and Kojo on Fantastic Mornings. 7 to 8 a.m. Join the conversation at onair@fantasticradio.co.uk.
Hey, good morning to you. It's 45 minutes past 7 on Fantastic Mornings. My name is Kojo Bonti Amwako, and you have Simone Uncle on the other side of radio. We're talking about the Windrush generation. We've talked about the compensation. We've gone into the website that I would suggest you go and add your signature to. Patrick Vernon has been campaigning for the Windrush compensation. We really suggest and really introduce and really encourage people to go on there, support, and add your signature to it. Right after the show, I'm going to do it. Right after the show, I'm going on there to add my signature to. So if you haven't, we will really, really implore you and encourage you to go on there to do that. Simone, you have something for us.
Oh, there's so much. I mean, oh goodness me, I can't think where the time's gone. Let me just start with this one then. Okay, basically, I've been going through my book archive. I'm very much traditional paperback, hardback. You know, I'm not into Kindles and all that stuff. Kindles. So anyway, found this. Purchased this years ago.
What is it about? What is it?
So this is called a book called Ormond by Hannah Lowe. And it's The Next Generation Poets 2014. So I bought this some years ago, and it's at a place called the Black Cultural Archives. People may know of it. It's in Brixton at 1 Windrush Square. And they have a lovely bookshop, a great exhibition space. There's a little coffee shop. And in the basement, they have a space for hire for people that want to do events. There's a lovely space to go and visit. If you're ever in Brixton, do try. It's very close to the station. But this is a book by Hannah Lowe, Ormond. Now, the reason I brought this up is as much as most of us are aware of the Windrush ship, there are many other ships even before Windrush. Windrush is possibly more the most prolific and well-recognized one, but there's the Ormond was another ship itself. And this is a lady that's actually spoken to somebody of that generation in her family and gathered some from the story, she's created some poetry. So the book is called Ormond by Hannah Lowe, and it's an introduction by Mike Phillips, who we may know. Some people will recognise that name too. But it's another passenger ship, and that was sailed from the Caribbean to Liverpool in March 1947. And the poetry in there kind of encapsulates some of those stories that she was told from that generation. So I'm going to give you a shorter version of one of the poems there about that journey. So this starts with, it's called Ormond, and it starts by saying, rewind the Windrush, raise the anchor and sail her back 3 weeks across the water. Then let the travellers disembark. Return them to their silent beds at dawn before the mayhem of docks at Kingston Town and Port of Spain. They'll wake to their island's sun again. Sorry, a bit more. The next bit is wind back the hours, the days, the months, a year. And out of fog, Ormond sails like a rumour or a tale about how what's too soon forgotten will rise again. Light up, awaken engines, swing her bow through half a century, return 100 drifters lost at sea, and all the passengers step from the ship and through a coverlet of mist, then slip like whispers into tenements and back streets as Ormond's deep horn bellows her retreat. And from this little piece of history, she slowly creaks her way back out to sea. There's a few key words in there talking about fog, which, pretty much was the environment, people entered into. They were left from sunshine into fog and rain here. The weather seasons are very different. And it's talking about Kingston and Port of Spain as one of the places that, of course, were collection points for passengers. And that's pretty much, and it mentions a 3-week journey, which is what you mentioned, of course, when you were talking about somebody you had a conversation with of that generation. It took 2 weeks for them, and sometimes it's 3 weeks, and 3 weeks of possibly seasickness and all the other things that they have to encounter, and that uncertainty of what's on the other side. Very brave people indeed that did this journey. So that was the Ormond, and yes, it's of that generation. I think just prior to Windrush, docking at Liverpool. And it wasn't just the one journey they did, it was many journeys, but that's just one of the iconic kind of tales from then. And the other thing I have for you is this book.
What is it?
This I purchased many years ago. And it's Windrush, okay? What's
the inscription there? Windrush, what is it about?
Windrush, the irresistible rise of multiracial Britain. And it's by Mike Phillips and Trevor Phillips. It's a father and son that put this together. They're very well known as newscasters in BBC, I believe. So you might recognize those names. I'm going to read from page 26.
Please do.
And this is entitled "We Did Our Bit." So the wartime experience of the Caribbean servicemen was complex and variable, but it is also clear that it was the experience which was responsible for the structure and the pace of Caribbean immigration. Mm-hmm. Over a period of 6 years, there were two very distinct strands of recruitment from the Caribbean. The first group traveled to Britain to enlist during or before 1940 and came from what could be roughly described as an existing officer class. These were the children of the professionals and administrators who, a decade later, were going to create the pressure for independence. They already represented a high level of social and educational achievement, and their motivation was strongly favoured by the desire for adventure, as much as by the desire to escape. And implicit in all of their futures was the intention of going abroad for further education. And for some of them, the war was a shortcut. These were among the most talented, most energetic products of the Caribbean population, and intensely conscious of their own worth. None of them intended to leave their relatively comfortable homes and careers merely to enlist. Instead, they set out to join the most glamorous elite fighting force available, the fighter pilots of the RAF. And these early recruits had to be exceptionally qualified to achieve their goal. And they were also obliged either to pass various tests or to acquire prior training as pilots, then to make their own way to Britain before they could enlist. Once they were in the RAF, however, they had become members of a unique club, and as such, they were more or less exempt from racist difficulties, protected by their rank and by prestige of their service. But what it's actually telling us there is that they had to find their own way to Britain. Even though the invitation was there, they had to actually make the whole effort and work out the logistics and get themselves here. So there was no assistance in that sense, really. And that, yes, they had relatively comfortable lifestyles out there already. They didn't just come to enlist, they came to further their education. These were the elite in their own right already. They weren't just sort of people available and had nothing else to do.
Yes,
they're already doing quite well in their own right, in their home ground, in their countries. But they were asked and invited to come over, and they were the best of the best that came and responded to the invite.
Before you go to into the next book, which the next book you have, really wanted to sort of zero in that. We've got 7 minutes to sort of sign out, but want to sort of zero in this, that the people that came through to help in rebuilding this country weren't just, were men of skill. Because you couldn't have just come to be part of the National Health Service if you didn't have skill. Because already they had education in the Caribbean and they had come through. I want to sort of throw light on the African soldiers that came through. But before I forget, let me take my microphone off and put on this thing, right? That my grandfather...
Face it the right way. There's a little ribbon at the front, isn't there? Let's have a look.
That's a ribbon. Yeah, that's a ribbon here.
Oh, yes, there we see. Oh, we see it now. Lovely.
Yeah, that's the ribbon. Yes, my grandfather wore this. Oh. My grandfather wore this to go into Burma.
Amazing.
My grandfather wore this, and my grandfather wore this and went to Burma and fought for this country, and my grandfather came back and worked as a journalist, worked with Kwame Nkrumah and all the other people in building Ghana. But what I wanted to also chip in was the Ghanaians and the Africans, the Nigerians, the guys from Gambia and western part of Africa and central part of Africa that contributed immensely cannot also be ignored. They also contributed immensely. And these were seasoned men. These were men who read, and my grandfather read books. My grandfather read plethora of books, and he talks about when they went to war and how people died. But the interesting thing, Simone, that I want to sort of chip in, then you come in with your last book, was when they returned, most of the African countries had just gone into independence. Right. So most of them in 57, and Ghana took over. Ghana got into independence, and most African countries followed a suit. Most of the military men that fought for the British Army lost their pension through the British government.
Wow.
Right? Because then the government, the Nkrumah and Co took over, Nyerere and other people took over, and obviously the British government asked them to take responsibility of their nationals who had come through to fight for them in building the country, right? So it really messed a lot of people up. There's one gentleman in Ghana currently who is raising a campaign currently. He's an older man who's raising a campaign through in Ghana, who at some point when we have the time and he's available, I'd love to speak to him and sort of...
We need to highlight that, yes.
...with us. Please talk to us about the book, the last book. Then right after that, I'll tell you who passed away yesterday. Kenneth Kaunda, the former president of Zambia, passed away yesterday. So may his soul rest in peace, and our condolences to all the Zambians. Talk to me about the last book.
Well, you're going to, but I'm going to just show it to everyone. So this is a pamphlet from the RAF, the Royal Air Force, and you've got a couple of extracts to share with us, I believe, from this.
Yes, I do. I do. But I want to talk to us about this particular pamphlet and what is it about.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's called The Little Known Heroes of the Royal Air Force. So as much as we'd love to be able to go into more detail about the individuals that fought and are quite prolific and well known in their careers, and they did some great stuff. These are people from the Caribbean that came and served in the RAF in the UK, and there's some brilliant work here. And we want to talk. This book goes into much more detail about those individuals, and it's covering World War I and World War II, characters from there. And the book was published around 2018, this one. But it's short and succinct, but it actually explains a bit more about what the Royal Air Force does, but also the history and our contribution historically as well in the Air Forces. So worth a look. If you can also get yourself to the museum, I believe it's in Kensington, perhaps. It could be wrong. It is. So worth going there, and also just seeing some of the photograph and the historic archives and a bit more about the stories of those individuals. And also for those people looking for career advice, or young people, of course there's options to perhaps consider this a career for yourselves if you wanted to. But first point of inquiry, I'd say visit the museum, go online, and look up the Royal Air Force address and that should be raf.mod.uk/recruitment if that's something you're so inclined to look into or pursue as a career. But very great information and lots of stories about people that fought and had successful careers from way back. Yes,
go in there. We want to thank everybody who has contributed and joined this show and made this show possible. I want to thank Sina Hamidi. I want to thank Simone Uncle. I want to thank myself for making today possible, and everybody who has contributed immensely to this Windrush conversation we've had. For those who want to know more about it, you go into www.38degrees.org.uk. u.38degrees.org.uk. You will be able to see the compensation that Patrick Vernon and the team are campaigning for the Windrush compensation scheme. Let's go in there. Let's support this work. We want to say thank you so very much for everybody who has contributed, and for those who also contributed to the music and the calypso music and everything that came with it. I want to say thank you so very much. Simone, you got something for us as we begin to bid a goodbye to our listeners?
Yeah, just one final thing for those people who are looking for something to do this weekend. There is a weekend of activity in Crystal Palace Park. So it's called the Radiate Windrush Festival 2021. It's for the Windrush community and Black culture. So you're going to find lots of music, events, just a host of activity there. So that's from tomorrow, between 12 and 9 p.m. And so it's on Saturday.
Weather permitting, isn't it?
I'm sure it will still happen anyway. They're prepared with canapes, the whole gazebo type things and whatever. There'll be coverage. So I'm sure they're well organised. Please get yourselves down there if you're in the area. That's happening tomorrow, the 19th of June, and also Sunday, the 20th of June, between 12 and 9. And that's at Crystal Palace Park. You can get your events directly, so you can get your tickets directly on www.windrushfestival.com. And also Eventbrite and Shubes and C Tickets are selling tickets to the event as well. So you can get yourself on that, or look up www.radiatefestival.com. And that's, again, that's at Crystal Palace, South London. So if you have time, go visit and go and learn and enjoy the experience and celebrate.
Simone, I would want to say thank you to every person that came through with a ship from the Caribbean that came in contributing to this place. Want to say thank you. We appreciate your work. We appreciate your contribution, and on your shoulders do we stand in flying high in this country. We want to thank every older person that came from the Caribbean and contributed to the National Health Service, to the military, to all the departments of this place. Want to thank the Africans and the Caribbeans who also came through and worked with the military, the RAF, and contributed. I take this cap off again and take this cap on to salute those who passed away and those who love loved ones who came in to fight for the British. I want to also use this cap to honor every African, every Caribbean that contributed immensely through the war, the First War, the Second World War, and how they contributed immensely to everything to do with this country. We tip our hat off to you and we say thank you very much, and we want to say have a wonderful and a fabulous and a fantastic weekend. Simone, you have your last word, and I walk out and you walk out. What do you have to say? Just
thank you again for your immense contribution to what we have now today, and we really do give gratitude and thanks to all those people that bravely came over, fought, that came and put their previous lives in hold to actually start here. And thank you again. We appreciate you all.
It's been wonderful. It's been Simone Uncle, it's been Kojo, Bonti, Amwako, and our special edition of the Windrush Compensation Scheme or Windrush Day celebration. It's been Simone Uncle again. You can find Simone on Twitter at Uncle Simone, or myself, Bonti Amwako, on Twitter, or you can get in touch with Simone at fantasticradio.co.uk, myself, Bonti at fantasticradio.co.uk. It's been wonderful. You have a fabulous and a fantastic weekend, and we say thank you and bye-bye for now. Bye.
Bye.
It's morning, and the day is filled with endless possibilities. We're so glad to have you listening. Have a fantastic morning. Fantastic Radio UK, home of the Afropolitan.